So I want to talk about modal verbs today. We use modal verbs for lots of different reasons. We use them for obligations, recommendations, advice, opinion. No obligation, when something is not necessary. Against the rules or illegal, when something is not prohibited, not permitted. Not permitted or not allowed. We use them for abilities, when you are able to do something, and we use them for possibilities, which include speculations and deductions. So, obligations first. I wanted to mention had to first of all. We're going to look at lots of these verbs and see must, because it's a modal verb, it doesn't have a past form, and so if you want to talk about an obligation you had at school, and like me you are an adult, you're not at school anymore, you need to say, at school I had to wear a uniform. You can't say must and put it in the past. You must use have to. Okay, so change have to had to. In present forms, in grammar books like Murphy, they tell you that must is for personal obligations. I must pay you back the money which you lent me, for example. I must remember to pay you back. It's a personal obligation. And we use have to for rules and laws. But I don't think we strictly obey those rules in the grammar books. I think sometimes we use them in different situations, so it's up to you. But remember that both of them must go to had to in the past. We also have got to in the present. Doesn't have a past form. You can't say I had got to. That's not possible. It's only possible in the present or future. Well, no, even in future I will have got. No, not in future. Just in present tense have got to. And need to, it works in future, will need to, and it works in past, needed to. Okay? So that's for obligations in past, present and future. Advice or recommendations, we use should or shouldn't, or ought to, or had better. All of these are plus infinitive, by the way. Should go, shouldn't go, ought to go, had better go. And it's what it says here. It's for recommendations. You should give up smoking. You shouldn't eat so much white bread. You had better wrap up warm before you go out today. It's cold. And you ought to finish your homework first before you go out. So if we want to put them into past, then we can put should or shouldn't in the past. And it is a past, it's a recommendation about something in the past as well. Really, it's criticism when you put these into the past. It's criticism of something in the past criticism. So let me give you some examples. You should have studied harder at school. Okay, I'm criticising, perhaps a person is now working at perhaps they've gone to an interview and they didn't get the job because they didn't have high enough qualifications, and somebody says you should have studied harder at university. Okay, it's a past criticism. You can't put ought. Oh, yeah, you can, sorry. You ought to have studied harder. Works as well. You ought to have studied harder. But had better doesn't work in the past. Okay? For future, you can just say should still in the future. You should finish your homework at the end of the week. You know, it's still future. You're referring to the future, but you can just use should, and it's still possible in the future. Okay, so remember that should have plus third form, plus having the third form is how we criticise someone in the past, or shouldn't have third form. Okay, no obligation, we use don't have to, don't need to, or needn't. This is very different from mustn't. Common confusion is to mix up don't have to and mustn't. Don't have to is no obligation, it's not necessary. Mustn't is against the rules. So you don't have to use a dictionary. It means it's not necessary, but you can if you want to. You mustn't use a dictionary means it's not allowed. If you do it, you'll fail. Okay, so in the past, very easy, didn't, for these two. Or didn't, and needn't actually works like shouldn't in the past. Needn't have and third form. Needn't have plus third, just like should. Needn't have plus third is okay. If you want to say, you needn't have come by car, the train is much faster, or something like that. You didn't need to come by car, the train is much faster. Or you shouldn't have come by car, the train is much faster. So it's very similar, needn't have, to shouldn't have. Very similar. Not quite the same, because it implies more necessity rather than recommendation or advice. Okay, number 4. Oh, and in future, just won't have to, won't need to. Nice and simple for that one. Number 4, mustn't. It's only possible in present form. It's another modal which can't be used in future or past form. And it means against the rules. If we want to put it into future or past, we need to use these. Be allowed to, be permitted to. So I was allowed to smoke when I was younger. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, I hope not. But future will be allowed to, will be permitted to. You could even use be supposed to. It often emphasises an obligation, actually. Supposed to can also be here. I am supposed to finish my work before, my homework before 5 o'clock, okay? But it also means against the rules. You aren't supposed to park here, okay? That means you're not allowed to park here. You aren't supposed to park here. So be supposed to, it's not as strong as be allowed to. You aren't allowed to park here sounds stronger. But you aren't supposed to, it still means not allowed. It's against the rules. So you can use be supposed to for obligations and for against the rules. Okay, ability, we use be able to and can or could. So I am able to speak French. I can speak French, or when I was a boy I could speak French. So could is the past form with can. It's one modal where it does have a past form, can and could. And so if you want to use can in the past, use could. Be able to in the past would be just was able to, and future will be able to. Okay? So these are for ability. However, sometimes we use these for possibility. We use, for example, he must be South American. Listen to his accent. Or he could be French, perhaps he has a French face, or he can't be American. I don't know why, perhaps you've just noticed that he's definitely not American. So we use these for 100% definitely true, must, can't for definitely not true, 0%, and these ones for 50-50. Notice I write not can. We do not use can for possibility. You can't say he can be French. No, he may be French, he might be French, he could be French, but not can. Now these can all be put into the past, and it's just like with should and needn't, plus have, plus third form. And we use these all the time to speculate about the past. So, for example, he must have been drunk because I saw him. He was falling over everywhere, he was being rude, aggressive. He must have been drunk. You're just saying, I am certain that he was drunk. That's what must have in form means. It means I am 100% sure. I think in Russian you just use точно. I don't know what you use if you speak another language, but just try to find out, because it's just the same as definitely. He definitely was drunk. That's what must have been drunk. It's just the same as that. It means you're 100% certain, 100% sure. But we could use 50-50. We could say he might have eaten the soup. Maybe you're not sure. You're saying he might have eaten the soup, but I can't remember. Or I might have left my keys at the restaurant. I'm not sure, though I could have left them at work. Yeah, you're speculating about the past. Okay, so it just means I'm not sure. Maybe these are the same as maybe when you put them into the past form. Maybe I left them at the restaurant. Maybe I left them in the car. Yeah, I might have left them in the restaurant. I could have left them in the car. Okay, last one. Can't. Not often couldn't, in my opinion. Can't have done. He can't have. I don't know. Let's think. He can't have killed the victim because he was in Australia at the time of the murder. Yeah, he can't have killed the victim. He was in Australia. You mean I'm sure, I'm certain he didn't kill the victim? Yeah, definitely not. Okay. If you have any questions, please put them under the video, and I hope you subscribe. Yeah, come back soon. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed this lesson and would like to receive more over the next few weeks. Here are some videos on phrasal verbs, auxiliary verbs, tenses, and verb forms as well, like gerunds and 2+ infinitive. Please watch them and try the quizzes below the videos, and I hope that you improve.